All right, welcome back to the channel. So finally, Gervonta Davis is clapping back at people. See my dog walking around in here, man. It's craziness going on today. I got to keep my dog in the office with me. But we're going to talk about Gervonta Davis and start this again. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Gervonta Davis says that he is making major changes to his camp on the lead up in to Leo Santa Cruz fight because he is going to prove the haters wrong and the people that underestimate him in boxing. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Gervonta Tank Davis was in a conference call with the president of the WBA, and whose name is Mendoza. Let's forget his first name, but the president of the WBA, Mendoza, and was talking about, one of these kind of, stay close to the fans type of interviews that people have been doing during the virus. So in this, Gervonta Davis is asked about what he thinks about some of his critics and people underestimating him and talking about the fact that he had missed weight and all of these type of things. And Gervonta Davis said he's going to make a major change to his camp to prove these dudes wrong, that he is going to go from training his usual 8 weeks per fight to increasing that to 3 months. For y'all that aren't particularly good at math, 3 months is 12 weeks. So he's looking at adding a full third or an extra month to his preparation for going into fights. And I think that is a absolutely terrific idea, something that he should do, and something that will most likely, if he does that, prevent him from flying too high up in weight. Or giving him more time to get down to the weight so he won't have a problem making weight at the weigh-in. What would probably do him just as well is to keep his weight down in between fights and, make sure that he's not getting up into the 150s and the 160s that I'm pretty sure that he's gotten to in fights before. Now, so the longer training camps, I do think, will be a smart move for him. And then the discipline outside the ring, I think will also add to it. But I don't think that is really going to keep people from underestimating him. I just think that there are people out there that have a lot of problems with Gervonta Davis, some for legitimate reasons for some people, and for some people, some reasons that I don't think are very legitimate. First and foremost, I say this every time I have a live stream and I talk about Gervonta Davis. I talk about it every time there's a Gervonta Davis fight or somebody criticizing Gervonta Davis or bringing up the next guy like a Devin Haney or a Teofimo Lopez or Shakur Stevenson and talking about them, or Vasily Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. I always bring this up because it's so strange that I feel like I've got to remind people of this. Gervonta Davis can fight. He is no soft touch, and none of those guys that people keep referring to are going to just going to walk over Gervonta Davis. And quite honestly, I don't know if I favor any of them over Gervonta Davis. And the only question I would have for people giving people any type of advantage over Gervonta Davis in the lightweight division is basically guys that, that there's a major size issue with. If there's not a major size issue relative to the guy, I don't see any of those guys beating Devin Haney. But the thing is, I don't see any of those guys. Excuse me for the interruption. I had to let my dog out of the room. My wife came get my dog because he was whining. Man, this whole thing going on with the virus is a lot of people in the house, and it just kind of changes up the system that you got going. But would rather have my family with me than not with me. Anyway, so Gervonta Davis, because he's missed weight a couple times, he missed weight once. Actually, only missed weight once. That was only missed weight once. Missing weight once is a big deal. But he had an issue with the Francisco Fonseca fight where he missed weight and he lost his belt on the scale. And watching that fight was the first time that I got that there are just a lot of people that I believe just don't like Gervonta Davis, because you hear them talk about the two fights with Gervonta Davis. that they act as if somehow Gervonta Davis got exposed and, he's not the fighter that he's being cracked up to be, right? And that is the Francisco Fonseca fight and the Uriokis Gamboa fight. When he went, I think he might have went 6 rounds, maybe 7 rounds, something like that with Francisco Fonseca. And Francisco Fonseca was pretty much doing the same thing that Uriokis Gamboa was doing with Gervonta Davis, in that he was refusing to take the lead. He was in there fighting, pretty much trying not to get knocked out. That's what I saw from Francisco Fonseca, and that's what I saw with Uriokis Gamboa. And what eventually happened to Fonseca, just like happened to Uriokis Gamboa, is that Gervonta Davis found a way to get an opening. He was patient. He looked for an opening, waited or set up the guy to make sure that the guy gave him an opening, either way you want to say it. And then when they gave him the opening, he took advantage of it and he knocked the guy out. Not every fight is going to be a first round, second round knockout. But the funny thing is when Gervonta Davis does get people out in the first and second round, then they complain that that the guy was, that he was too easy, he was too small, or whatever the issue was. He's not worthy of the fight. So they wind actually in a situation where Gervonta Davis is knocking people out in the first and second round. They find a way to criticize Gervonta Davis for the fact that he got him out so early, right? But then if the guy goes any considerable amount of time, then there's a problem with the fact that the guy went too long. Now, I think that this stuff with Gervonta Davis is related to a few things. One, Gervonta Davis can be a jerk. Just flat out telling you, Gervonta Davis can talk some sideways garbage, would make somebody not necessarily like the dude. That's reasonable. He gets in a lot of can't even say used to. He does have his problems outside the ring where he winds up getting in a fight here and there. He has an altercation with a girlfriend. So that's easy to dislike. He's he's closely connected to Floyd Mayweather Jr., and there's a lot of people who do not like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and don't want anything related to Floyd Mayweather Jr. to be successful. So I think he gets that Floyd dislike too. So some of it is his fault. Some of it, I think, is just the circumstance that he finds himself being in. But all that stuff to the side, Gervonta Davis is, without a doubt, a world-class fighter and one of the top guys at lightweight. There's no guarantee. One of the fights that people talk about a lot happening with Gervonta Davis is, first there's this Leo Santa Cruz thing coming up. Now, Leo Santa Cruz is another situation where Gervonta Davis is in a no-win type of situation. He's moving down to 130 pounds where he actually had come from, right? And Leo Santa Cruz is moving up from 126. Moved up from 126 to 130. So when Gervonta Davis fights him, one or two things are going to happen. Either Gervonta Davis is going to knock him out quickly and brutally, and as a result, it was going to be a mismatch, and Gervonta Davis just did what he's supposed to do. It's not a big deal. The guy was too small for him. If the fight goes over 6 rounds and Gervonta knocks him out, the guy would have been exposed. Gervonta Davis would have been exposed in the fight because it took him so long to get Leo Santa Cruz out of there, right? It just isn't going to matter with Gervonta Davis. But at the same time, to the people that critique Gervonta Davis in that regard, you see that with other fighters where people just get in their mind that they don't like a fighter and they're just not going to like him. They're not going to like him. On other circumstances, you have fighters in the lightweight division, and this is a little bit unique to the lightweight division, and that you have other young fighters that have growing fan bases. The most obvious one is probably Devin Haney. We had a conversation on OG Boxing Talk this weekend and talked about the Devin Haney fight, and it was really surprising, man, that in the panel we had pretty much everybody in the panel pick Gervonta Davis to beat Devin Haney, but I think that's primarily because Gervonta Davis is a more proven fighter than Devin Haney. Personally, I think Devin Haney has a good shot against Gervonta Davis, but I do favor Gervonta Davis to beat him. But that's no knock on Devin Haney. That's just saying that what Gervonta Davis is. And in my opinion, Gervonta Davis is a guy that should definitely be. Him and Jermell Charlo are two of the most underrated fighters in boxing. Both of these guys have had careers at this point that equal people who are commonly referred to, as being a top 10 pound for pound fighter. Guys like Juan Carlos Estrada and Monster Inoue. You have guys that have lost and haven't looked like they are a decent fight, haven't looked top notch in several years, like Gennady Golovkin still being on that list. You actually have people still put, and I don't get this, but to each his own, people that are putting heavyweights on pound for pound lists. There's all kind of reasons and people there to keep Gervonta Davis and guys like Jermell Charlo off of there. And I think that the only way realistically from people outside of their own community and outside of their own, for a discreet way to say it, their natural fan bases, to get popular outside of that, more than likely Gervonta Davis is going to have to, grab the black hat, put the black hat on, and then he'll, wind up getting the money and things that he wants. But I just don't see him getting the adulation or getting, a tremendous amount of respect for what he can accomplish in the ring, unless he does like what a Floyd Mayweather Jr. does, and he accomplishes so much in his career that it's just really hard to argue with. Right. And even then, in the case of Floyd Mayweather Jr., you still have guys like Max Kellerman and other people, and even Sean Porter running around saying that, oh, well, yeah, Floyd Mayweather Jr. accomplished all these things, but, he cherry picked this guy, he cherry picked that guy, he cherry picked that guy. He's really good at matchmaking and, that kind of backhanded compliment that Teddy Atlas gave him. He'll do all those things even when you accomplish all of that. So, the long and short of it is that if Gervonta Davis wants to make changes in his camp so that he can become a better fighter, absolutely, I believe it 100%. But if he's trying to do it to get people, to silence critics, forget about it. There's going to be critics forever, But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.